Dr. Kristine McCusker. I'm a professor of history, ethnomusicology, and folklore. I have been at MTSU for 17 years, where I teach in the history department, but I'm part of the Popular Music Studies Scholarly community on campus. I've written 3 books or co-edited 3 books on country music and gender. One of those books, which came out last year, Country Boys and Redneck Women, was given an honorable mention as a Best Book of the Year by No Depression magazine. I've been using the center for a long time for a variety of projects. My scholarly work isn't necessarily from the center, but small pieces which I pull out and do research on, I have used this center extensively. So for example, I have an NIH grant to write a book on Southern death rituals between 1900 and 1955. And I noticed that Southerners in funeral books began to change how they sang at the funerals in around 1940. First it was Rock of Ages and the Sweet By and By. And then by 1940, 1942, it was Rock of Ages, Sweet By and By, and Brahms, and other kinds of classical music. And I used the center to help me figure out why people changed how they sang at funerals. I'm also doing new work on Bobby Gentry, and of course the work began with the center in that I used Billboard charts to document how popular that song actually was, and found some really interesting mysteries to be solved. I also use it extensively in my classes. I'll teach a grad class on ethnomusicology next spring. They will spend 2 nights either with Greg Reich, the center's director, or in the center specifically. They will also be required to do some work from the center's collections. I teach a class called American Music in the Modern Age. They spend time in the center and are invited to write the research paper on using collections from the center. And I use it for my undergraduate classes as well, my lower division classes, my general education classes. First of all, to introduce my students to the idea of an archive and how an archive functions. And I also introduce them to the work of primary sources because they're there. Why not use that collection to teach those lessons? The center does a very nice job as being an anchor institution that allows scholars to gather and flourish, and to not just be talking to each other and presenting each other our work, but to have other scholars come in, talk to us about our work, and interact with us as scholars and thinkers and writers about popular music. And so it's a anchor institution. It's a foundation to letting us flourish as a community.